McCarlan's through, he might go for it, still going, trying to barge his way through, goes to the shot, what a goal!
Arriving Rian O'Neill from an almost impossible angle, and that's the rousing score now we're looking for.
As Conor Turbitt kicks this one in, that's absolutely superb.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Saturday Night Podcast. We're building up to the Ulster final coming up this Sunday in Clonus at 4 o'clock. It's Armagh against Donegal. We'll have our usual preview show coming out on Thursday with John Harn, the former Donegal footballer, coming on, the same guy that we done our league preview with. So we'll chat to him on Thursday as we look ahead to the game. On today's show, we're going to hear from Paddy Burns from the Armagh side and our Donegal captain, Paddy McBrearty, as well. I spoke to the two boys at the recent Ulster final launch held by Ulster GAA. So we'll hear from them too now, and I'll see us all on Thursday as well.
Paddy McBrearty outside there, and I think we've a gentleman's agreement, no penalties. So one of us will throw it over our own bar if we have to at the end. But we were very close in normal time last year, obviously, and then extra time. But we probably should have won it in normal time against what everybody knows now is a really, really good Derry team. So it's not often you get an opportunity so soon to maybe undo it or give yourself a chance to undo it. So yeah, that's definitely a big thought for us, is just let's go out and give ourselves the best shot of doing what we should have done last year. You always want to go out and win something for them, because we put a lot of time in as players, but again, you probably would have liked to listen into the chats Paddy McBrearty and I were having, but I asked him, would you even consider doing county management? And the two of us both agreed, absolutely not. It's such a difficult job, it takes so much time, so much effort, and I think for the time he's put into us, the stuff he gives us, how well he looks after us, the least we could do is try and get him an Ulster title, and we'll be doing our best to do that. Absolutely.
Paddy, obviously it's such a long time. Last year it was such a long time since you had reached an Ulster final. There was maybe nervousness and I'm sure excitement on the squad. The experience of last year, does that help this year, that you maybe aren't as nervous and stuff?
I would hope so, yeah. So last year was the start of this new setup in terms of you've only 2 weeks lead in and that kind of thing. So we've had all that already and we're used to it. I was injured last year, so wasn't in the reckoning. So it's new to me to an extent, but I've had enough games now that I'm well used to this kind of thing. So yeah, experience can only be a good thing. The bus journey into Clonus, the Gardaí, getting the traffic out of the way, seeing the crowds, all of that. Of course, any experience that you get sets you up well for the next year. But these Donegal fellas, it's not like they've been away for too long. They've plenty of experience of it themselves. So I'd say we're both probably on an even keel at this stage for that kind of thing.
And I had missed out last year. I'm sure you were praying you would get back to the Ulster final this year, just for personally yourself, just to get playing in an Ulster final and get out in Clonus and see what you can do. Yeah,
I was definitely hopeful. Last year it was disappointing to miss it. I still got a few big games in after that in the All-Ireland series, which was nice. I got a game in Croke Park. I got the game in Galway against Galway and Leitrim. So I got a few good games, but it was a tough year. So I feel like the work I've put in over the years, it's good to just get the payoff of getting a chance on one of these big days. I feel like I've kind of earned it to an extent that I've put the work in away from football in terms of injury rehab and all that kind of thing. So it's nice to get a chance to go out and do that. Yeah.
And I assume you're enjoying it, Paddy, because you say your injury history and that your career's sort of been bumpy maybe, but I think you've started every game this year, league and championship. So I'm sure you're enjoying it, getting that obviously injury free and getting game time.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I am loving it. I was thinking about that a few weeks ago. Someone asked me the question about what's changed, and I've always taken it very seriously, the whole thing, and I put a lot of time into training and preparing, as does every inter-county player. But I think this year an element of that has actually come away a little bit, in that in life in general. So my wife and baby at home, but baby in particular coming into the mix is just, it's taken a wee bit of the heat off the whole thing for me. So I still plan the same way. I'm diligent and I train hard and I prepare well, but it just, there's that tipping of perspective that kind of has, I think it's just made the whole thing that little bit easier for me. Like, I remember a few years back doing runs on Christmas Day, for example. I would have always trained Christmas Day, which this year was the first year actually I haven't ever done it, but I remember training Christmas Day and pulling my hamstring and not having the wherewithal that I couldn't text the physio on Christmas Day. You know, I was straight on to him and pulled my hamstring. Can you do something for me? And he said, it's Christmas Day, Paddy, can you leave me alone for I'll talk to you in a few days. Like, so whereas now I didn't even train Christmas Day. I kind of just said, I'm with my family, I'm enjoying it, and all of that seems to have just helped. It's took a bit of the heat off the whole thing for me.
It leaves everything easier for you, I assume, just like that football, it's a massive part of your life, and it is the be all and end all, but it's not at the end of the day. It's your family, football's your hobby, really.
Yeah, like I'm still gutted when we lose. I'm still delighted when we win. I still have the ups and downs, but you go home and you just, you can't be anymore. There's something more important there to focus on, and I have a great wife who would have always been good at getting me out of those kind of dour moods when we have lost, but now I don't have a choice. I can't go home and be in bad form with a wee girl running about the house and her not understanding why, so you just have to park it, and that's it. Yeah, it was one of those games. It was difficult in that Down to their credit went out with a game plan and executed it very, very well, almost perfectly. It almost came off for them. If you look back on it, the first 10-15 minutes, if we had chipped over a few more scores where we tried to maybe force the last pass or had poor wides, we might have opened up a bit of a gap that could have changed how the game looked in a way, and it might have become a little bit more open, but that didn't happen, and then it just became that bit of a dogfight. So were we happy with the performance? No, we didn't do a lot of the basic things that we know we're good at. However, we pulled the game out of it in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes. That's something we haven't done in a while. Tight game. Not only did we go and get the equaliser, but we got the winner. We committed what you might call a smart foul right out by the sideline, for them to have their chance to draw, but very difficult kick. So I think all in all, you have to take the positives from that too, and that was that we closed out a tight game. We responded very well to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think probably is something that we've done better this year is responding well to setbacks. Like even down in Cork, we were ahead, reasonably comfortable, gave a goal away, still managed to come back, gave another goal away, and came back and got the draw. That was a difficult night in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Mm-hmm. We had Donegal in the league final. Granted, we didn't win the game, but didn't play well, and found a spell where we just went at it and pulled the game right back close to. We might have got a level actually. So we've definitely got better at that. Responding well to setbacks and turning up the heat when that happens. It's a difficult animal we're coming up against, so the game isn't going to go your way the whole time. You just have to be ready to respond whenever they have the purple patch. Like, no team at this level is going to go 70 minutes without having a good spell, so you just have to go in expecting that, knowing that you try and limit how effective it is when they have it, and you respond whenever you can, whenever that's over and it's our turn to go. Listen, if you look at our team, we've some of the best forwards around. I think I'd be willing to say we pound for pound we've some of the best forwards in the country, but Donegal are the same. They've Gallen, they've Thompson, they've McBrearty there. There's plenty of good forwards. I'd say it'd be a great spectacle. I don't want to start saying who'd win in a straight shootout, but I'd say people would enjoy watching it anyway. I think Dublin really honed in on that, didn't they, at a time with Kevin McManaman and them fellas. Like they really focused in on the power of impact subs, especially when legs are tired late in the game for defenders. You see a quick forward coming in, and it definitely makes you nervous. I'm up against it again, I've no time to rest. So I think every team has that in mind. What I would say is we're lucky in that our squad is so strong at the minute that any of those fellas could be starters or impact subs. Like Aidan Nugent coming on there and kicking a point. I've been marking him in training now for weeks and having a nightmare. He's given me my fill of it. He's physical, he's aggressive, he's accurate, he moves very well. So, wouldn't surprise me at all to see him on a starting team. So when I see him coming off the bench, I know happy days, we're in a good place, and it's the same with all our subs. We've been unfortunate over the years with injuries to key players at bad times, I would say. So yeah, I think availability at the minute is great. Fellas put in a heck of a pre-season, trained really hard, got the miles done in the legs, and the science would say that there's a big link between how much pre-season training you get done versus then how available you stay in season, and that seems to be paying off for us, and it's leading to squad competition. Like, there's fellas not making the 26 and not making the 30 who are fantastic players in our squad and really driving the whole thing on in 15v15s and training, or if someone's got a niggle and has to step out, you're not worried about who's stepping in because it's keeping training at such a high level. So I would say, yeah, this is probably the best period we've had in terms of availability, and long may it continue. But listen, if not now, then when? That's kind of always the question. You always assume it's your time. Some of us are getting a bit older. I'm 31, and then some of the key players like Rory Grugan, he'd be 32-ish. In Forker would be around that, so it'd be Campbell's maybe another year older. So we've knocked on the door a fair few times, but we're getting to the point where, yeah, it's time we did something. But all we can do is our best on the day. We've come up against some great teams and great performances over the last sort of 4 or 5 years that have put us out by the odd point or penalties here and there. We'll just go out and give it our all to try and make sure this is our time. On the day, we just have to see what happens. But yeah, we're definitely hopeful that we can do it. The Armagh fans are, in the most positive sense, mental. In that, that they follow us all over. There's so many games this year in Division 2 where our away support was much, much bigger than the opposition's home support. So we're very, very lucky in that. And of course that tells you how much they're willing us on to win something. If the gates were low and people weren't turning up, you'd know that there wasn't that real interest in what the team's doing, and people wouldn't be that bothered. But you can tell that people are willing us on. Yeah, the pressure's healthy to an extent. As long as you can handle that, pressure's healthy. If you feel pressure, it means you care about what you're doing, and it means that other people care about what you're doing. If there's no pressure on you, then you're not in the hunt, and then are you even interested? Now, for me, I've got a bit of benefit that I don't live in Armagh. I live in Burn in Down, so there's a bit less of the chatter around me. I don't hear as much of the noise as maybe fellas who are nipping at the shop or doing different things around Armagh here. So I have that benefit that I don't hear as much of it. But it's both pressure and propulsion for us to push on and have a good energy in what we're trying to do, I would say. Well,
the game's different. We're a different team from 2022. Armagh would probably see themselves as a different team. They've been close to getting to an All-Ireland semi-final, All-Ireland finals, so I think they've more experience under the belt in terms of the big games. Listen, Armagh have been a top team for the last 14 years, really. Every day you play Armagh, they're going to be a tough opposition. They've yet to get over the line, I suppose, in terms of Ulster Championship, but I'm sure there's big motivation in their dressing room. Listen, we haven't won an Ulster Championship since 2019. I think this is our 11th final in 14 years. We've won 5 of them, lost 5 of them, so we've had great days in Clonus, a lot of bad days in Clonus, so there's a lot of lads there that are going for their third, a lot of boys going for their fourth, and then there's a lot of lads going for their first, so there's different motivations, but I think within the group there's massive motivation to win another one. Small margins, you've seen there yourself there on Sunday against Tyrone. It's the small margins that ultimately win the games. Mark Curran doesn't go up and knock the ball in Niall Morgan's hands. Tyrone probably won the game. So small margins and big games that end up winning them. We didn't attack well at all in the first half. We needed something else up front, really. And I think we did start to attack better in the second half. It's just horses for courses, really. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. But I felt then it was fresher coming on then for extra time when Tyrone started fatiguing. So yeah, listen, it worked out well in the end, really. There was no conversation at all. It was just literally you're going back in now at full time, so go out and warm up. That was it, really. There wasn't much wasn't much conversation really. But boys did a massive job to get back. I think we're 3 points down at half time, got back level. Tyrone went 3 points up again, and we got back level again. So really good resilience shown by the lads. I think it's all just about sticking to the process and the game plans, not deviating away from that when things are going bad for you. Things weren't going well for us, but we did stick to what we were told to do, and the right periods of the game went well for us, and we felt then that in extra time then we probably did have the legs, given the day's extra recovery that we had over Tyrone. So listen, we're well prepared, we're told everything, but as players then it's just told it's basically down to us to implement what we're told. Every player, every forward prides himself on scoring, needs to be scoring. I wouldn't say I'm on the team for my defensive capabilities anyway. No, listen, things weren't going well in terms of myself in front of the post, and then the last one just came, but it's a shot that we've practiced a lot, and there's a high probability of scoring it. Really, you don't really think in the moment. It's just you're in the pocket. There's 2 yards of space. Just kick it over. Really, there's not much thinking about it, to be honest. But it sets you up well, and then you go into training the following Tuesday. Yeah, you're just thinking about you're pushing up on the kick out or dropping off the kick out. That's just basically what's going through your head. Yeah, it's great for a millisecond that the ball went over the bar, but then you're just thinking, what's my job now in terms of kick outs or pressing the ball, whatever. We've left a lot of big days behind us, we felt, as players, and we would have always thought, how do we get over the line? And we always thought if we had someone like Jim and that we could win those big games. So thankfully he did come back. There's a lot of conversations, and we had to really convince him that this group was good enough, and we do whatever he said, and thankfully he did come back. The standards, expectations, in terms of what he demands of you as a player is the same, but I think the game itself has changed a lot, obviously, since he's been here in 14. So it's been interesting to really see how he's come just straight back into the Gaelic, and it's been a seamless transition. Really. You just have your individual role with Jim. You're literally told what to do, and that's basically it. And never mind if it was in 2011 or 24, it's the same messages really that he's trying to drill across, and it's just a title really. At the end of the day, captain. Jim's the main voice in the dressing room really. He covers everything. It makes everyone else's jobs really easy. We drew at them on athletic grounds, and we beat them by a point in Croke Park. So we're definitely not underestimating Armagh. We know them well enough, and they know us. So it'd be very, very foolish for us to underestimate them. Listen, they had a tough game against Down there. That could have been a game that a team could have lost on another day. Down could have caught anyone in the hop really. I know Armagh were favourites for that game, but they did show good resolve to come back and ultimately win the game. Because a lot of teams would have lost that.
Growing up, Armagh were the dominant force. Do you remember them final, like 02, 04, 06?
02 was the semi-final.
It was the Ulster final was 02,
I think they
04,
beat
06.
them in a semi-final. Many's a day, and Ulster final used to be in Croke Park back then. I remember we were living in Dublin at the time, and we would have went sporting Donegal, obviously. So left Croke Park a lot of days, tears in my eyes with Donegal losing. But that was a great Armagh team. They obviously went on to won All Ireland, and they dominated Ulster really till 2008, 2009, and I remember them games a lot. Mickey Higgerty from my own club had been playing, so Armagh would have really had a upper hand on Donegal back then.
I don't know, recently Michael Murphy has sort of said that attending them games and seeing Donegal lose so many big games sort of inspired him to play for Donegal. Would that be a similar story for yourself?
Listen, I've always wanted to play for Donegal. We moved up from Dublin when we were 10, and just thrown straight into Kilkear. Really, it was all about playing for Kilkear, and hoping one day play for Donegal. And luckily Jim gave me the call when he did, and there was no real negotiation with it. I jumped at the opportunity really, and Donegal had won a Ulster title in 20 years at that point, and we've been lucky to go on and win a few now, and I think Donegal's a different place now from when I started playing to where we are now really.
Harlan's through, he might go for it, still going, trying to barge his way through, goes to the shot, what a goal!
keeping. Rian O'Neill from an almost impossible angle, and that's the rousing score now we're looking for.
Connor Turbin kicks this one in on an absolutely superb